here, and happy Monday. I am incredibly excited to do this Facebook Live today because there's a principle around happiness that I want to teach you. I've been talking about this with many of my patients in my office, and so many people don't realize that they can control their happiness by controlling their physiology. Too many people think that happiness comes from circumstances being lined up properly. But what I want to tell you is that there are physiological changes that happen in your body that affect your happy hormones. And so I want to walk you through a process that you can start to do to get your happy hormones elevated and to get them balanced again. So if you have any questions as I go along this Facebook Live, if you go back and you look at all my Facebook Lives, I've been getting a lot of people messaging me, emailing me, asking questions. So just type it into the chat box. As I go along, this particular Facebook Live, just type it in the chat box and I'm happy to answer it. If you're watching this afterwards, you can also add a comment and I'm here I go back and I check them and I'm happy to answer it for you too. So let's talk about stress. Here's what happens. Most people think that their stress is pretty much an external situation. So let's just use that as an example. If your boss yells at you, your kids don't act the way that you want them to act, your spouse and you are fighting, yes, you're going to have an external reaction to stress and your body's going to secrete more cortisol. When you have cortisol in your body, it shuts down all of these hormones. Dopamine, which makes you happy, serotonin, which makes you feel satisfaction and excitement in life, and oxytocin, which makes you feel connected. But this also happens when you have internal stress in your body. So the primary internal stress for the brain happens to the spinal cord itself. So if you're not familiar with the spinal cord, in between each segment of a spine is a nerve or a big nerve called your spinal cord. And it is carrying information from your brain down to your body. And if this spinal cord gets twisted, if the bones that are protecting it twist it or torque it, it sends a message up to the brain and says, hey, there is a problem down here. We have a crisis. And the brain responds by secreting more cortisol. And so those of you who are like, I'm not happy, I feel stressed, I can't sleep, I can't lose weight, I'm craving carbs, I feel disconnected, you're lonely, and it's for no particular reason, you have to go into the internal and start to look at the damage that's happening to the spinal cord and the nerves that is sending signals up to the brain. So in the chiropractic world, we call this a subluxation. It is a misalignment of the spine that starts to irritate the nervous system, sends a signal to the brain and tells the brain that there is a problem. When cortisol goes up in your body, dopamine, this is the hormone that makes you happy. If you don't have enough dopamine, you can have things like ADHD, so your kids that can't sit still, the kids that are having trouble learning, people who fidget a lot, they tend to have too much dopamine. Your risk takers, people that are out like skydiving and driving fast and always looking for that next thrill, they're the ones with usually an imbalance in dopamine. People who fight all the time, we have those people in our life that pick fights at each other, or couples that are constantly bickering. That can be an imbalance of dopamine. So you get stress on the spinal cord, the brain responds by increasing cortisol, and now your dopamine levels go off. Second thing that happens when the cortisol levels are high is your serotonin levels go down. Serotonin is what gives you satisfaction. So you don't feel like you're just, I hear this a lot in my office where people say, I have all these great things that are going on in my life, but I'm just not happy, I don't feel good. Well, that's because your serotonin levels are down. People who have high perceptions of pain, people who are suffering with a lot of pain, they often have low serotonin. People who crave carbs, if you're craving, I put that as the second thing in here. When you're saying, I crave carbs, I've got a sugar addiction, a lot of times really what you've got is a decrease in serotonin. So getting this cortisol to come down will start to increase get your serotonin to go up. And then the last happy hormone is oxytocin. So what I think is really interesting is like dopamine. Dopamine can be released from a ding on your phone or a like on Facebook. It gives a dopamine response. But there's nothing in social media. You can get a high from interacting with people in social media, but nothing will give you that high like touch. Physical touch is what releases oxytocin. So a baby to a mom, that's physical touch. It'll release oxytocin. And the more oxytocin that you have in your body, what ends up happening is it stops firing information to the amygdala. The amygdala is the part of your brain that is registered for fear and aggression. So if you are a highly fearful person, then you need to go and look at what is going on with your oxytocin, going and hugging people, going and touching people, getting a massage. This is why I love a chiropractic adjustment, is it's putting hands on people and you get a release of oxytocin. So the cool thing about the internal way that you get this cortisol to come down, the fastest way you do it is by a chiropractic adjustment. Now, if you guys have been watching my Facebook Lives, you know that I'm a huge fan of nutrition. I think that if you're putting junk in your body, this thing is gonna feel like crap. I think you're crazy and nothing in your life will work well. But I think that what creates more stress and more unhappiness than anything else that I see is that when the cortisol in your body goes up from the spine, your spine being out of alignment. This is why you hear people all the time that say, I go to the chiropractor, I leave, I just feel better, I don't really understand why. Those of you who go and get chiropractic on a regular basis, you're not going just for pain relief, you're going because you know that you're a better person when you go. Well, guess what? Here's the science behind it and why it works. So if you want to increase your happy hormones, the very best way to do it is to make sure you don't have pressure on your spine, on your spinal cord, that your spine is lined up properly. We can take individual hormones here, like serotonin. 90% of your serotonin is made out of the bacteria in your gut. So taking a probiotic, getting off of antibiotics, making sure that you're not destroying your gut, that's going to help your serotonin. Dopamine, you can go to the gym and get a good little dopamine rush. You can get a like on your phone. That can help your dopamine. And oxytocin, you can hug somebody and get a good rush there. But nothing is going to lower your internal cortisol like a chiropractic adjustment. So if you want to increase your happy hormones, that's my recommendation. If you have any questions, please type them in the question box and share this. People, I've been spending 20 years of my life trying to get people healthy and give you guys the tools to be healthy. And I finally have decided that what's more important than health is happiness. So, but you don't have to have this in order. You don't have to have your whole world exactly how you want it to be happy. You can change your inner world, and it doesn't even matter what's going on in your outer world, and you'll be happy. So, hope that's helpful. If you like this level of science, if it was helpful, please make a note in the comment section. Share this video, get this out to people, and if your life is not where you want it to be, if you're living every day and you're feeling grumpy, you can do something about it. Don't wait for it to change. You change your body and everything will change around it. So, hope that is a great one and have an awesome day.